Hello again, SGBers. I'm Companion Wolf with another Smile, a game builder tutorial video. If the title didn't give it away, this week's tutorial is about warp gates and teleporting to other locations by manually entering the destination. It's a bit like the teleportation mirrors in Might and Magic World of Xeen, and I think Sword of Xeen as well. Once the correct word has been entered, you'll be teleported to that location. If you want to be notified of when I upload new videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe or check out my social media accounts for other news and details on extended tutorials as they become available. These will contain much more content and you can see what I'm up to as far as projects and other things I share. You can also join the official SGB Discord channel. The link to that will be in the description. For those who don't know and who are wondering, the titular Beam Me Up Scotty is a reference to Montgomery Scotty Scott, who was the engineer of the original Star Trek TV series, played by the late, great James Doohan. And incidentally, that particular catchphrase was never actually used in any Star Trek episode. Rather, variations of it were spoken, such as Scotty beam us up or beam us up Scotty, but not beam me up Scotty. And the weird thing is, I can kind of remember hearing beam me up Scotty in some of the episodes, but that is just the Mandela effect. I digress. I would sincerely like to thank all those who have subscribed to my humble channel here on YouTube. Only last week I announced that I'd reached the 450 subscriber milestone, and this week I've already exceeded that. It's incredible and exciting considering where the channel was even 6 months ago, and it's all thanks to you guys. So keep those subscriptions coming. I really appreciate them, and the comments and the likes. So let's get on with the tutorial. There are a number of ways you can implement the warp system. Each one achieves the same thing, so choose whichever one works for you, or you can use a combination. So to start with, we're going to go for something basic. We're going to add a message. Where do you wish to teleport? Don't worry about the local switches. This is just for this tutorial, since I'll be using it to activate the appropriate sheets. You don't have to put them in. Anyway, add an input string variable, which is under variables. Looks like a little box, and there it is. And all we have in here is just the one page with letters and numbers, no symbols, nothing else. And I've set the maximum to 12 and stored it in a uniquely named string, warp gate passcode. Next we have a series of nested branches using the check string variable box, which would be under the branches. And we're going to use that warp gate password string in a variable. In comparing the letters, it'll be set to the same as whatever you type in the comparing letters section, which would be equal to whatever you type to be able to transport to the different location. Underneath that, change the player location to map, and then this one will be under player movement, move to another location, and then select whichever map you want and the coordinates and so on. So under its conditions do not apply, you do the same thing, but with a different, in this case it would be house 2, and then the map would be different as well. It would go to house 2, and under those conditions, same thing again. Another one in house 3 goes to house 3, and one more for good measure, which would be set to dungeon 1, and that'll go to this dungeon. And finally, if none of these apply, i.e. none of those specific keywords are entered, then you'd want something for the destination unknown. So this would go underneath if conditions do not apply, then just display a text destination unknown. So now if we play test, you can see how this will work. Okay, so first of all, we're going to type in something wrong. Destination unknown. So let's enter house 2. Did I change the default confirm sound? Geez, I must have. That's just too weird. Okay. And then it'll teleport you there to house 1. So then let's do the reset. And this time I am gonna change that. That's annoying. And then you teleport to dungeon 1. Okay. So it seems that the input character here is the one that's at fault. Could always have a chicken. No, that would be hilarious, but annoying at the same time. So it would be decide. Okay, let's go with that one. Okay, so for the first alternate method, I'm just going to toggle this so it's on and this so it's off, so this one will run instead. Now, this method adopts a slightly more progressive approach. Display the text as before, and as before, the input variables, the input string variable. This time, however, we're going to add an assign 0 to the local variable. You'll see why in a sec. And then again we have the nested branches, but this time underneath each one of the check string variables we're going to assign numbers to another variable called teleport ID to identify the map to teleport to. And then we continue house 1, house 2, house 3 and dungeon 1, which is set 1, 2, 3 and 4. And once again, underneath all those conditions do not apply, destination unknown, and this time we assign 1 to the local variable. And the reason for this is all the way down underneath the branches we use another checkbox variable to check if the local variable contents is equals to 1. If it is not, then we make this event. This little dude will walk one space to the left and he will face right. So in other words, what will happen is basically if you have the destination incorrect, then the dude won't move. But if you do type in any one of these, then he'll move to the left and face right. So with that said, we're not done yet, because now we'll set up the warp gate itself. This is in relation to the teleport ID variable. Now a quick note on the warp gate here. It appears that you may need to place a separate event in the center, as I've done here, because if you use the warp gate object as the teleport event, walking through the center won't work. You'll just pass straight through, it seems. But if you walk into either one of its sides, then it'll work as it should. And of course this isn't very realistic or practical, hence adding a separate event like this. And besides, it's probably easier to edit anyway. So what this does, you can play some kind of sound effect. I just chose light. It sounds a bit more neutral. And this is where the teleport ID comes in to play. So check variable boxes. When the variable box teleport ID is equals to 1, then change player location to house 1. Similarly, if the conditions don't apply and teleport ID is equals 2, go to house 2. Otherwise, if it's 3, go to house 3. If it's 4, then go to the dungeon. And so now we playtest it again. That's better. Let's go to house 3. He steps aside and you will teleport to house 3. Okay, as a bonus, here's another alternative method. Let's switch the basic and advanced teleporters around, like so. Wait a minute. We could just move the start position here. It's just for the convenience of this tutorial. Now, what if you wanted to add some main locations like city or house or dungeon, and then have separate sublocations? This is one way of doing it. Again, you add your message, and again you add your input string variable, which is based on the warp gate passcode. And then you add some more nested check branches. The first one will check if house is at the beginning of the string variable, and then the second one, which has multiple entries, underneath the first check you'll have another one, this time if it ends with 1, and it would be the same if that doesn't apply. Then you check if it's 2. If that doesn't apply, you check if it's 3, and then under each one of these you'd add the number to the teleport ID as we did before. And finally, for the destination unknown, instead of just displaying a message, we can teleport randomly, because house, assuming that house has been typed in correctly but without 1, 2 or 3, then we can just simply randomize which house you'll teleport to. That gives a little bit of a variety and an element of surprise to the game. So this would be under the very last branch of this. And we follow this there, it would be there. So underneath that, we'll use the advanced variable box to put teleport ID as a random number between 1 and 3, because there are 3 here. On sheet 2, the condition is if the variable teleport ID is greater than or equals to 1, that should be repeat one time only, I think, then you can teleport based on the ID, the teleport ID. And so let's do a quick play test again to see how this works. This method is quite useful because it allows you to enter the main location and the sublocation together, or just the main location, which will teleport you to a random sublocation under that heading, as I mentioned. So, if we type in house and then 2, okay, that was my bad. The power of debugging. I don't know why I put it down there, but it actually, the randomized actually has to go underneath the conditions don't apply after the end. And then on sheet 2, the condition teleport ID is set to greater than or equals to 1. It's triggered one time automatically, and then this is where you base your location on. So if teleport ID is equals to 1, it'll go to house 1. If it's 2, house 2. If it's 3, then house map. And then you add more sublocations accordingly. But then if you have another, like say here, underneath this branch, if the conditions don't apply, you would actually add another one, like say a checkbox string variable number 2 begins with say dungeon. You could basically just copy, let's say we'll just copy and paste this and then put dungeon at the beginning, and then we can probably copy that. So this would need to be 4. And there wouldn't really be, in this instance, there wouldn't really be a need for a random number because there's only one dungeon map. So we can just copy that. Then on the teleport, we add another one underneath the conditions don't apply. This would equals 4, and then we change the location to the dungeon. Like so. Anyway, so what this will do is basically it will check to see if house is typed in, and if house is typed in, what's the second part, the ending part. So if it ends in 1, 2, or 3, then it'll teleport to those corresponding maps via sheet 2. If 1, 2, and 3 isn't typed in and you just basically entered house instead, you want to go to a house, then it will randomize these and you'll end up in either 1, 2, or 3 house. If you don't type in house and you type in dungeon instead, then whatever options is the second string. So if you typed in dungeon 1, then it'll go to dungeon 1, and because we don't have too many options here, if you type in dungeon, then it'll simply go to the dungeon. Let's do a playtest, demonstrate how this works. So type in house 2 and it'll go to house 2. And then just type in house, it'll randomize it, so the next time it could be something different. It would be 1, 2, and 3. This method is quite useful because it allows you to enter the main location and the sublocation together, or just the main location, which will teleport you to that random sublocation under that heading. Plus, you can also enter a space between the location and the sublocation to achieve the same thing. This is because it checks the beginning and the end, not so much anything in the middle. So that would generally tend to be ignored. Just like that. And I think I'm going to end the tutorial here. If you found this one useful, subscribe for more videos, give it a like as well, and don't forget to visit my Twitter, Pinterest and Facebook accounts, or my official SGB website, which isn't always up to date, but I try to keep it up to date at least once per fortnight. This will contain links to the extended tutorials that include more content, more examples, more stuff, and so on, and other stuff that I don't post elsewhere. And don't forget, if you haven't already, you can join the Smile Game Builder Discord channel, which does include a Japanese channel to chat on as well for all of you Japanese speakers. You can see all of the latest SGB news, resources, maybe, if you're lucky, some upcoming features, or to simply chat. Everyone is welcome. The link is in the description. And if you want me to revisit some of my previous tutorials to bring them up to date, or if you have ideas for a new tutorial, or even if you have questions about SGB in general, let me know in the comments below, or on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll look into it for a future one. Thanks to everyone who has supported me throughout this journey. I am probably close to halfway to reach the mandatory 1,000 subscribers before this channel could be monetized again. So once I reach 1,000, I am planning on a giveaway. I don't know about the prize yet, but trust me, it's going to be something that you will like. I will still strive to bring you more tutorials every Sunday and Monday, and we'll start live streaming SGB regularly next month, starting probably Friday the 7th. That's it for another tutorial in the Smile Game Builder Tutorials and Showcases series. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.